and welcome back to my channel, or if you're new here, welcome. My name's Roya, and each week we do a Mermaid Makeup Monday where we go over waterproof, sweat-proof mermaid looks based off of, currently we're doing Finfolk's tails. Some of them are in collaboration with Merbella. This week we are doing the Damsel Finbella tail. So this is a collaboration with Merbella by Finfolk. It did win out. If you guys are not following me on Instagram, that is where we hold the polls. I do several tails and then we get down to the last two. This week it was between Damsel and Birth of Venus. Damsel won out, as you can see here on the polls. If you guys have any questions, make sure to comment them down below. If you guys want to learn to get this mermaid makeup look, and then just keep watching. So to start off this Mermaid Makeup Monday look, I am going to go ahead and prep my skin with you guys. Last week I did not prep with you all. I prepped by myself, but I showed you the products. So I'm actually going to go through the prepping process with you step by step in this video. Starting off, I have washed my face already, but we're going to use the Thayer's, and this is that hydration toner that I showed you guys last time. I just put it on my clean hands and I rub this all in my face, all over and down my neck. And again, my skin type is more on the dry side. So if you are more oily, then you're just gonna wanna look for a toner that is gonna be good for oily skin. I would say a good toner for oily skin would actually be the Ordinary, and this is the glycolic acid exfoliating toner. I think that one would be a really good one for oily skin. Now that our toner is mostly absorbed, I'm gonna go in with those hydrating serums that I showed you guys last time. It's the Astura. It is this serum right here. I'm gonna do some old school YouTube beauty. I also pair it with the e.l.f. the Thirst Drop. I just kind of drip these down my face. One of the things that you want to try to do is not ever touch that dropper to your skin, because once you do and then you put it back into that product, any bacteria on your face will get picked up and then that product is going to get contaminated. And that is how you end up sometimes with blemishes that you're not sure where they're coming from. It's just always kind of being mindful of the sanitation with your products. And again, bringing that down the neck, almost like a little lymphatic drainage massage. Once those are on, I am going to go in with my moisturizer. Before I put my face moisturizer on, I do an eye cream, and I'm using currently, this is the Ole Henriksen, and this is a brightening eye cream. So I do use this just right on my under eye. I don't use a ton of it. Eye cream does tend to warm up and travel a little bit. Before makeup, I don't really like to use a whole lot. I go a little heavier on my eye cream in the evening once everything's off and I'm just going to be sleeping in the skincare. Then I'm using this Bioma. I showed this to you guys last time. Again, everything that I'm using will be linked down below if you guys want to check any of that out. I'm also going to make a link as I was saying before I was so rudely interrupted. I'm gonna make a link that's just got an Amazon storefront to where it has all of the products listed that I use in one spot, if you don't wanna have to sit there and necessarily click all of the individual links. So we're getting that all rubbed in. And then I love the Laneige lip mask, so that is what I use on my lips. And again, I'm going to teach you guys the best way to do things. So I do recommend having like a spatula or a clean Q-tip every time if you don't want to contaminate your products. I YOLO things, so I will just stick the tip of my nail in there and pray that washing my hands was enough.
But I digress.
So now that our skin is all prepped and moisturized, I think, like I said, I'm pretty impressed with this. For those of you that don't know, I just turned 36, so I'm pretty solid with my skincare, I think. It's like, anyways, moving on. So the look that we're gonna do today is gonna be inspired by the Damsel tail from Finfolk and Merbella. I love that tail. I have my long line sports bra on that you can still get on Finfolk's website. It's one of my absolute favorite tails. The only thing I ask is if they bring the tail back, which I hope they do, I hope they do the full elemental fluke, because the Damsel does not have the full elemental fluke. It's missing the little deep-to-do up here. I don't know what to call it, but it's missing this ridge on the top, and I'm like, oh my god, if only it had that ridge. But anyways, let's get into the makeup. So for this look, I am going to I just cracked myself up. I'm sorry. I'm gonna start with my eyes first on this look because I'm scared, because we are doing blues, greens, and yellows on this look. That's just not normally my go-to for my eye makeup. I think I organized my palettes. It looks so nice. I think what I'm going to do is I'm gonna go with my ColourPop Pokemon collection. Freaking, I'm a big Pokemon fan. I grew up loving it when it was originally only 151. So I'm a huge Pokemon fan. So I think I'm gonna use that, and then maybe possibly some from the Culture palette from Juvia's Place. I'll go through the colors that we're using with you all as we build so you know what's going on. To start off, we are going to use the NYX. This is the face glue primer. I am going to start off by priming my face first because regardless of us doing the eye first, there is going to be some of this makeup that will get on the skin. So I think that having it primed first is essential. I'm just going to use my cleaned paws to rub this all in. Yes, get rid of that double chin, girl. Work it down, work that fluid down. And I can tell, like, as I progress with doing these, I'll get more and more comfortable with the camera. Also, the last time that I was filming, so the first tutorial, I literally I don't even know how often I was having to take my camera down, turn it around, mess with the memory card. It was not fun. So I probably... yeah, I spent 90% of that video so irritated with my camera. I wanted to yeet it out the window. But here we are. We persevere. So we get that nice and sticky. I think I could like... Okay, so yeah, it's sticky enough that you could stick something to your face. So much for me telling you to clean your hands and not like put gross things on your skin. This is why I have acne right here. But anyways... look at all these colors. I have used this palette before. I just like to keep it inside of the little sleeve because I think it's so cute. And they have Snorlax on this one, but he's not on this one. What do you mean? So starting off, we are gonna go in with that Anastasia brow pomade that you guys saw me use last time. I'm going to be using it until it is dry, crusty, dusty, empty, and I have to get a new one. And I am gonna start off with my brows. It gets a little crazy looking. So whenever I used to teach cosmetics education, I feel like when I was teaching, I had a much better time with people letting them, I guess, know that it's safe to be messy. Like, it doesn't have to be perfect. You can literally clean it up. And that's what I'm a big advocate of. And that's how I taught. People would always have like shaking hands and they'd be super worried about like, oh my God, I'm not gonna pass. But honestly, you can do it quicker and then clean up faster. And sometimes it's gonna save you more time than sitting there trying to get these perfect lines. Not all the time, like there's certain looks like you have to make sure that you're being pretty meticulous with. A lot of the time, you can be a little messy and just clean it up. It's not about perfection. Those are my brows. And then we are going in with the MAC Soft Ochre Paint Pot. This is a little bit more of a, if you can tell, like matte or a satin. It's flat, basically. It doesn't have any shimmer to it. I prefer a base that does not have shimmer because if you use a base with shimmer, you are going to make everything else shimmery. So again, to have some texture differentiation and to have, I think, more of a polished look, I don't recommend having everything on your eye being shimmery. So I'm just applying this all over. In this particular product, you want to really smooth it out. You do not want a lot of this product sitting on your skin, otherwise it will crease. And then I'm just using the brush and that paint pot to clean up the brows and just smoothing everything out. So I think that we look pretty good. I'll go back in and clean this up too with the foundation once we get there. But as far as starting off, we're pretty good to go. For this particular eye look, I am gonna take this paint pot and I'm going to put it all on my lower lash line because we're gonna smoke her out. And then of course we still will go in with concealer. Do you ever just randomly get like a High School Musical song stuck in your head? Because that's me right now. We're all in this together, you know? So I did not pre-plan this. I did not, there was no pre-planning. This is just, we're just going in. Y'all, that looks nice. Wait, hang on, is this the same color? After deciding, we're gonna use this shade here. It looks like a satin or a matte, I can't tell. And it is called Afro Beats, and this is from the Cultured palette. And we're going to get our handy dandy trusty fluffy brush. And I actually forgot to highlight my brow, so I'm actually gonna start there. So I'm gonna use from this palette, I'm gonna use this color. It is a shimmery shade. This is called Jelly Donut. We're going to play around with a shimmery brow highlight today. I'm just using a flat packing brush and getting that all underneath. I mean, that's got like an opal-y kind of iridescence to it. Me likey. So that's what that is gonna look like. I also have this brush pointed in the direction where I want the most pigment to hit. Does it look like a jelly donut? I think maybe. You guys let me know in the comments down below. Then we have our fluffy brush, and we're gonna use that shade that I was just showing you, the Afro Beats, and we're gonna start from the outside and work inwards, and this is going to be our blending shade. We're praying and blending, praying and blending. This is where I'm like, should I have gone with a lighter shade? Maybe, but it's already on there, so we're going for it now, sister. All right, so back and forth, windshield wiper motions, little tiny circles, working that color, and yes, damsel girl, we are going in. So now that we have that all blended out, we're gonna continue on. I do think that looking at my color reference, I think we're going in the right direction. This is kind of our tealy shade. Now we need a little bit of a richer blue. Hello. So we're gonna go in with this more matte blue here. I think this shade is called Shakur, maybe? I'm really bad at pronouncing certain names. Sorry. We're going to use this as our crease shade. And I think the reason that I stray away from blues is because for those of you who know about the Drew Carey show and Mimi, I think that is why I stray away from blue colors. If you did watch my last video, we're just going in with a tapered blending brush. Same type of concept. We're going from out to in, windshield wipers, small circles. We're just not going quite as high up. Our blending shade went up to here, and we're keeping this a little bit more concentrated in the crease. You know, I guess this is one of these things where I post the video, so it's fine, because if it turns out to be god-awful, well, we just skip on to next Makeup Monday. I would say I could just film something else. Actually, I probably will do that. But it is Saturday and this video goes up in 2 days. I really need you to act right, makeup. That's all I'm saying. Okay, so there is that. And then I'm taking my fluffy brush that we use for the blending shade. And again, just making sure we have a nice gradient. And I do recommend, like, I'm looking into a up close mirror here. I have the viewfinder, and then I have another mirror behind you guys. Look in different mirrors and lightings, because sometimes if you get too close up into like a close mirror, you're not seeing everything. And then sometimes you're not seeing like details if you're looking in a faraway mirror. So I definitely recommend checking it out in different lighting just to kind of see how everything is really looking. The next thing that I'm going to do is our little concealer trick. If you did not watch my last video, I'm gonna show you guys again today. Hello, where is my concealer? So I'm gonna use my concealer, which is just the L'Oreal Infallible, and I am going to line my lower lid space like this. And then I'm gonna look up, and then that is going to lead way my cut crease should be. These are a guideline. As you can actually tell, it's probably a really good example. My hooded eyes are not the same. Like, one of my eyes has a little bit more basically like fat in it than the other does, is a little bit more hooded. So with that being said, I do use that as a guiding line, and then I kind of just go from there. It helps, but you still will have to fine tune it if you're in the same kind of situation as me. Now, if you're one of God's favorites and your eyeballs are even, then you probably won't have as much of a problem. But I was not on that roster, so we gotta work with what we got. Not a kid screaming outside as soon as I said that. Anyways, oh, I like. For a lid tone, do I want Do I want to attempt this? Let me see. So I'm gonna go in, is it Celadon City? I don't know. Anyways, I'm gonna go in.
Possibly with regrets.
With this Celadon City color here. It is a light green shimmery shade. There's a color right next to it called Evolution. Which is a light blue shade. It's something tells me that I'm gonna wish I picked that one. But we're gonna go in with this one and see what happens. I'm gonna pick that up on my little packing brush and I'm gonna put that everywhere. You know, actually that's not that bad. We're good. We're good. I'm gonna put that everywhere that I put the concealer for that cut crease look and just hopefully get it packed in. Don't forget to leave your tail suggestions in the comments down below. And then if you're not following me on Instagram, I do my Instagram stories there where I put polls up. I usually put one up and then whichever two tails have the most votes, those two go into a final round. And that is what won here. So, oh, okay, you know what? I'm not mad at it. This is fine. Turned out better than expected. I like it. I think it looks nice. Now that that is on, I'm gonna go in with, somebody needs to wash their makeup brushes and that somebody is me. I'm gonna go back in with that blue shade that we used for the inner crease and I'm gonna pick up a little bit of that on a flat brush. Just like in the first one, we're going to reinforce the crease from the top by darkening that. So that's what's going on here. I'm still gonna go on top and make sure that that top area is blended out so it does not look crazy. Now, what I'm gonna do, we're going to use that, how crazy do I wanna get? We're gonna go back in again with that deep blue shade and I'm gonna pick it back on that tapered blending brush. It's a little more concentrated and I'm going to deepen the outer portion of my eye. I like to think of it like a greater than less than symbol. And that's kind of the pattern that you're wanting to do with that, with the point kind of going up, just so it's lifting the eyes, just like that. So this is one part of the point and then the other part of the point. So it could be like a sidewards. It could be like a sideways V or like I said, a greater than less than sign, whatever you feel more comfortable trying to emanate. And this here is the fallout that I was talking about, which is why I'm doing my eyes first, because then I can just wipe that away and not muddy up my foundation. Now that we have done that, we are going to go in with the lower lash line and I'm going to use that same Makeup Forever eyeliner that I used last week and I'm going to line my top. People call it the tight line, the water line. I'm going to line that and the bottom. Again, this is just how I prefer my makeup. If you want your eyes to look more open, then you can either skip this step or you can use a flesh tone color. You can, and some people do use white, which is totally fine. If you like it and you love it, then you obviously should keep doing it. But for me, the way that it looks on me, it's not my favorite. So I usually will opt for a skin color in the water lines just so it still opens without it looking too harsh. So that is what it looks like once we add the eyeliner in. And then now we are going to smoke out the lower lash, taking that same brush that we went in with the crease to redefine it, and I'm going underneath with it and just smoking this out. And I think I'm not gonna bring it all the way in because I do want to bring a little bit of the lid color back down. So maybe 3/4 the way. Now, if you didn't want to do dual color down there, you could obviously just smoke it out with the one color. Oh wait, I was wanting to do red down there. I forgot. So you could definitely do red underneath to highlight the tip of Damsel's tail, or if you wanted, we're gonna do red lips to bring that all together, but red underneath would be gorgeous as well. So this is what happens when I get ahead of myself. Now I'm just going in with that same shade that we used on the upper lid, putting it on the inner third of the lower lash line. I stabbed myself in the eye, so if it's red, if it looks red, that's why. Girl stabbed right into my eyeball. Okay, so I think this looks very damsel-y in my humble opinion. The next thing that I want to do that I think will be really pretty, I'm going to use the Milk Jumbo pencil in white, and I'm going to put that in my inner eye, inner corner, like this. If you like this, you can stop here. A white inner corner moment Chef's kiss. I love it. Also blend it out a little bit more. I'm about to do that blending though with a brush. So I'm taking a very small fluffy brush and I'm going to take this yellow shade here. The shade is Saffron City, and I am going to highlight my inner corner with that to give kind of an ode to that yellow belly plate that Damsel has. Oh, I love it. The white would still look gorgeous if you don't want to do a yellow shade here, but I'm just trying to tie the colors of that tail in, and I personally love that. I kind of jump around for whatever reason. I'm gonna do eyeliner and mascara after we do the face. So we're gonna go start on that. I'm gonna take a little bit of my face primer on a tissue and I'm going to clean out all of that fallout because I'm not going to use makeup remover. And the reason why, and a lot of people would take a makeup wipe or whatever else, the reason I'm not doing that is because then you're going to have a hard time having the makeup adhere there once you've done that. So I'm using a primer to wipe that away, as you can see. So that just cleans it all up. We can, I don't know if you guys can see my cat. She's like right there. She's so cute. Now that we have cleaned that all up, we can jump into the face. I'm gonna go in with my handy dandy infallible L'Oreal Infallible Concealer. Not take it all the way up. We'll do some blending here. This is here. I like a really bright under eye, and my concealer is much brighter than my foundation or my skin color, which is nice because I used to be the lightest shade possible, but now that I'm getting some sun in Florida, I'm not the lightest shade, so I can actually find a concealer that is lighter than me. On my chin, and as you can see, or if you watched my last video, I go in with a very generous amount. Definitely make sure that she's covered. And then I do like reversed contouring with this in that area. Pretty crazy. Good thing I used to do this and I'm not afraid of the internet seeing me look insane with my makeup. Anytime you're doing makeup, if you think about like filters and like take the time to kind of see how filters are really enhancing your face, that's where you can kind of pick where to be adding more highlight, more blush, more bronzer. I think that filters are great tools. You're not using the ones that are, you know, going to give you complexes, of course, but they can be used for good. I've definitely used filters to tone how I do my makeup or change some things. If you watched my last video, you know my little nose trick, so that's why I switched over to this brush. Actually, she might come in handy for my under eye. It looks like I have blush on, but I don't. Now I'm gonna pick up my foundation, which is the L'Oreal Infallible Foundation, and I am using the color 411, and guess what? It's too light, but I used it in last week's video. It's what I have right now, so we're just going to use it again, and I'm just gonna use the back of my hand, and I'm gonna kind of just tap this in anywhere where I did not put my concealer and blend it out. I do not take this up towards my eyes at all. The reason for that is you do not want more texture on your under eye than what you need. Less is more with that area. If you have a good full coverage concealer, that's all you need. So whether you do your foundation first or your concealer first, just try to avoid having foundation on your under eye area. It will help with creasing. It will help with it looking too dry or textury because we do move our eyes a lot, and so that's where a lot of that texture comes from. So a little tip to avoid it is trying to not put as much product there. Sister, we are trusting the process. We are trusting the process, and I'm here to look crazy for you so that you know that when you look crazy in the comfort of your bedroom where you're not putting this out on the internet, that it's okay and to just keep going. And then I'm taking it down my neck. For those of you that don't know, I'm gonna let you know now. I doubt many of you do, but I have PCOS, so I gotta make sure I cover my beard. So just tap that out. That is a foundation and concealer. And then we are underwater baddies. We are gonna go in with some cream products. And if you watched last week's tutorial, you will probably know what some of these are. I'm still loving them. So first we're gonna go in with the Milani, and this is in the color Spilling the Tea. And starting from the back, I'm gonna do this in upward strokes. That way it does not drag our face down, and walk it towards the front to give us a nice contour effect. And then I like to have my jawline really defined, so I start back here, you can kind of see, and then I walk it forward. and I do more to hide my beard. And same thing on this side. And basically what you're doing with this is you're casting a shadow, and then I do a little bit on my forehead. You can do the side of your nose if you want. I actually skip that usually with my cream bronzer, or at least at this time. I might change my mind in the future, who knows. Then we're gonna go in with our cream blush, and this is the L'Oreal Lumi, and this is in the color Dewy Bright Pink. With this one, you don't wanna use too much product. I usually do 3 little dots like these. I then use my brush to blend that, kind of tap it more so backwards and up. A rule of thumb that's pretty easy to follow with blush: 2 finger lengths away from your nose. That's using your own facial anatomy. That keeps it from looking too dragged down. I know that once upon a time people be like, smile, and then they do this and then it drops back. So usually 2 fingers length away from the nose is a pretty good starting point for your blush. And then we're gonna go with our powder products. So first we're going in with the Juvia's Place. This is in the color Zaria, and this is a powder brush. This is a powdered bronzer. On my, if anyone caught it, last week's video, I said we're going with a powdered bronzer and it was a blush. So I guess we're just staying on brand with miscalling things. I did correct it in the text for the product and post, but definitely said powdered bronzer instead of blush last week. So that was mildly embarrassing. Don't know who all noticed it, but I did. Then I'm gonna go in with the powder blush, and this is the L'Oreal Infallible, and this is in the shade, what is this, Confident Pink. Oh, the whole point is just to never take yourself too seriously, honestly. Have fun, laugh, and carry on. Have fun, laugh, and carry on, because there's no keeping calm. Beautiful. We are gonna go in with the L'Oreal Infallible Blurfection, and last time I said that this was in the translucent. I don't think it is. I think I linked the correct one. It isn't. Oh, I see it is down there. It's like microscopic writing. It's pink light. But they do have a translucent one, so if you don't want to use a pink one, pink's really good for brightening. If you don't want to use a pink one, you don't have to. And I'm just using my handy dandy sponge. We are just gonna tap in really seriously in that under eye area. That's like the area that I want the most. We're going to copy pasta on the other side like that. I swear, like in person, it looks like a filter. Like this powder is crazy. And then I'm going to tap it really well into my chin as well, because that is always a spot that we want some brightening on. The forehead. And again, turning the focus of it to where I want the most pigment. And then I'm gonna do a slight bake here, cut, whatever you'd like to call it. Man, I'm going to the Springs in the morning. The fact that I have to wash this makeup off and then redo it makes me want to cry. And you know, you might you might be asking yourself, Roya, why don't you just film it in the morning? And the reason is because there's no way. I am a literal hot mess rushing in the morning trying to get to the Springs. So this is how we do it. For me, if you're a baddie who gets upper lip sweat, this is a great spot to make sure you're setting. Because girl, my upper lip be sweating in this Florida heat. Sweating. I need lips. So the thing that I said I was going to circle back to that is slightly high maintenance when it comes to makeup, calling it high maintenance and the fact that it's an extra step if you don't want to do it. I love this. This is the Kevin Aquan, and this is in the shade medium. It is a sculpting powder. I use a little blush, a small blush. I use this to give myself a nose job because this is a cool tone powder. It is better for pretend reconstructive surgery. I'm just gonna put it on the tip of my nose like this. And I'm not messing with the highlight shade. You can also kind of do like this. To define that, I'm going to buff that out. And maybe if I do this enough, I will get a nose job naturally. Just, you know, tapping your nose out repeatedly. Also, I'm kind of monotone, so welcome to my sarcasm. If you haven't ever talked to me, I'm actually pretty monotone. So I say things and I'm like, hee hee ha ha, and people are like, oh, you were joking? I was like, yeah, sorry. And like that, she got a new nose. Now we're gonna go and do our highlight. I am going to use the same thing I did last time, which is the Juvia's Place. This is a liquid eyeshadow, and I tap this in threes. Same way I do the blush. I don't know. 3 is a good number. Like Mako Mermaids, 3. H2O Mermaids, 3. Actually, there might have been more Mako Mermaids. I take that back. Charmed, you know, the power of 3 will set you free. I'm just tapping that all out. And hopefully you guys can see it. It's really shiny, but I have so many lights on that I don't know how well you can see it. And then we're tapping a little bit on our nose just to give us a little Rudolph Who moment. And I'm actually gonna put some of that in here. I'm gonna pick up this tiny little brush because my nails are too long and I will stab my eye out. And then now we're gonna go back up to the eyes again. I'm going to be using that same Heroine Make eyeliner that I showed you guys last week. We are going to do the technique that I talked about in that last video for our eyeliner. You know, swiggity swooty. Pray the eyeliner goes on correctly. I don't know. I was supposed to say the word booty in there somewhere, but it just didn't fit. We're just gonna fill her in. I'm gonna walk that down. Same thing on this side. And also, if you can avoid it, you don't want to tug on the eye, because if you do tug on the eye, the only time I would say that it's okay, because tugging on it is also going to cause wrinkles, is if you're filling in, so you're tugging to fill in. But as far as establishing your, like right now, I'm going to lightly hold the skin taut so I can fill that in a little easier. If you tug on it to put the eyeliner, as soon as you let go, that skin's going to go back to where it naturally sits, and you're not going to have the eyeliner look that you think you're going to have. And then I kind of have to look back and forth because I do have a different amount of lid space on each one of my eyes. So sometimes I'll put mascara on and then I'll realize that I need more eyeliner. Just kind of depends. Normally for waterproof, I would be using this Essence Princess Lash in the waterproof. However, I'm not going in the water. So I'm going to be using my favorite mascara, which is the MAC Extended Play. Please don't ever discontinue this, MAC. I'm begging you. I love this mascara, and again, since I'm not getting in the water, I'm not going to use waterproof mascara just because it is so difficult to take waterproof mascara off. If you know, you know. Actually, I never in my life wore waterproof mascara until I started mermaiding. Never. I never did. And actually, our blurring powder tapped out pretty nicely for our eyeshadow, so I didn't actually need to go back in and blend it, which is really nice. I normally wear false eyelashes. I didn't put them on in my last video, and I'm probably not gonna put them on this video just because I know a lot of people do not wear false eyelashes under the water. So I wanted to have a realistic look at what this would look like. If you guys want to see me put false eyelashes on, let me know in the comments down below. I've just been skipping it for that reason. So I'm going in with my tried and true. This is the NYX Epic Wear. This is the white eyeliner. If you guys watched my last video, I love playing with this so much, and I think it's gonna stand out really well in the blue. So you can add like little dots like this. You can also do little sparkles with it, which I like to do. So kind of just draw it in there. So a little sparkle there, and then you can put like dots around it if you want. I like to put one in the innermost corner of my eye, and then we'll put some dots over here, put some on the lower lash line would be cute. One thing I like to do sometimes that people really like is I will actually highlight the tail of my brow with the white eyeliner. I usually get a lot of compliments when I do that. It's pretty cute. I will put some on the inner part of my eye, but this one's got such a pretty color. I don't want to take away from that. I'm just gonna emphasize that more, and I can put a couple little dots here like so. I just think it's so cute. Get that off of my lips. This is just the foundation and concealer at this point. So I'm gonna try to get as much of that off as possible. I wanna use more of a red since Damsel does have that red pop. However, if you want a neutral lip, you can definitely do like a neutral tone, something a little bit like this is beautiful. I've worn this absolutely with Damsel before. I'm gonna use this one. Bright eye, bright lip is typically not the vibe, but we're gonna try it and see. We're mermaids. The rule of thumb is usually if you do a bright eye, you want to do more of a neutral lip. Since I did not do a red underline on my lower lash line, I want to have something to give that pop. These are great for the water. You do the color and then you'll add the gloss. and that stays really well. Now I'm going to set my face, and if I'm going to do waterproof makeup, I'm going to be using this L'Oreal spray here, or I really like the One Size from Patrick Starr. Otherwise, I'm gonna just use this Fix from MAC, the Stay Over, and set this because again, I'm gonna be washing this off momentarily. So let me put on a mermaid top and crown, and then I'll be right back to talk to you guys in just a few minutes. So here is our finished look with a crown and a mermaid top on. I'm eventually gonna get a better lens to where you guys can see more, but this is my top here, and then this is my Merbella crown. I only have one crown, so you guys will see this one in a lot of videos because it's the only one that I have. If anyone is selling a Merbella or one of the clamshell ones, I would greatly appreciate it. Let me know. I would love to have one, but this is my one and only right now, so she will be featured in a lot of videos. I hope you guys enjoyed this Damsel tutorial. There were some modifications that you could make to make yourself more comfortable with the look. You can definitely do like a neutral lip if you want. You could do the smoke out underneath with the red. I think it would be so pretty. If you guys do recreate this look, please tag me on Instagram at the Caspian Mermaid or on Facebook. You can find me on all platforms with that username. Until next time, thank you guys so much for watching. Don't forget to comment, like, and subscribe, and I will see you guys next week for Mermaid Makeup Monday. Bye.